I think we'll be good.
Okay, we'll be good. How you feeling, babe?
I don't know, like I have that energy.
You have energy?
You don't, huh? Well, get to it.
Last time we left off, we were talking about how you have to trust yourself and you just have to follow your heart, basically. So going into how did that look like for you versus how that looked like for me? Because I think it'd be cool to explore how, for example, you got to the place where you were at, and then I got to the place where I was at. So for you, you mentioned healing. I think that'd be really good to talk
Like
about.
how I got into healing?
More like, what did healing look like, and
For
how did
me.
it change? And then, because I kind of see it as, I think that people need to prepare for a relationship in a way. Like, yes, you can have a relationship, but if you want a deep, like, spiritual
It's only
one,
gonna be as deep as you
are. Yeah. Damn. Okay, let's go. I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. I like that one. All right.
Yeah.
We're off to a good start.
Always.
So how, okay, the question is, what healing did you partake in before being ready for a relationship like this? Is that a good question? Is that before being...
It wasn't for me to, I didn't do this for me to, like...
Yeah, attract somebody.
Only for a relationship. It was very much so for myself, as well as, like when I learned that when you heal parts of yourself, you also heal like your ancestors and, like, you know, people from
just your lineage.
Yeah. So when I started, like, learning more about that.
All right, wait, who told you that? Can you go into that a little bit, or like what? Can you go deeper into how that happened, or?
I mean, yeah. I have a leak.
Because you don't want to go into it.
Huh?
Oh.
No. So when the way I started healing, it was literally like, it was like out of nowhere. I didn't even know what I was getting myself into at first. But I just started. I attended this, like, breathwork session. This, like, group breathwork class, and I really enjoyed it at first. At first I was kind of lost. Like, her name's Erica. I feel kind of awkward right now.
Really?
Oh yeah. Let me just.
There you go.
Okay, not awkward, but I just didn't know how to, like...
I think it's just new, no? I don't think you really talk about it too often.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just new.
Okay. Well, the first time I ever went to this breathwork session, it was a group guided, like, breathwork meditation thing, and her name is Erica. I met her in this shop that I went with my friend, and, like, there was this altar in that shop, and it had this specific like, I don't want to say it was an obsidian knife, not knife, but it was like an obsidian rock, and, like, I was intrigued by it. Like, I asked her what did she use it for, because it was in an altar and it was shaped like a knife. And she told me, like, very briefly that she used it for a specific oh my god, my mind
like
is
a ritual
blanking. Yeah, for a ritual, which is like cutting the ropes.
Like cutting cords.
Yeah, cutting cords. The ceremony cutting cords, which is when you literally cut cords with what no longer, like, serves you, whatever you, like, want to get rid of, not only for yourself and for your ancestors, if that, like, connects you. So yeah, and then, like, she just told me a little more about what she did, and I was interested in it, so I followed her on Instagram, and then I started seeing that she would post like these guided meditations and like the breathwork classes that I attended. And so one random day I just went, and yeah, she was guiding us through it, but I couldn't get into that meditation zone. Like, I couldn't get myself. I was like trying and like very like relaxed and all of that, but it was very difficult for me to get there just because it was all so new to me. And like, when you start getting into that or meditating, you're not always going to like get there right then and there. It's gonna take some time, right? Like, to actually even know how it's done, what you're doing, like, because you have to be very intentional about it. So after leaving that class, I really felt like calm and I really liked it. So I just started doing it more and more, and it wasn't very like consistent at the beginning, but it was like at least a month until I started going like every Sunday. It was like my Sunday ritual that I started doing, and that really really helped me like learn about meditation and breath work. I would always start my meditations with breath work. When I started like intentionally like just doing things that felt good to me, another big one was like just working out. At first, I also didn't even know what I was doing, so I decided to get a trainer, and like I was just finding different things along the path of healing myself, which along that path, like I was just getting to know myself differently, like discovering new things about myself. And that's when I found dancing. I used to be a very like shy, or I would just stay to myself a lot, just because like I don't know, that's just how I was. But
Started dancing.
when I started dancing, yeah, oh my god, babe, I don't know what's going on.
What happened?
I don't know.
Are you shy? Are you nervous? You're nervous?
No.
Do you think it's
I think it's just too much.
hard to explain?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm like everywhere.
Yeah. I just want you to, like, I just want, so from healing, what is healing to you? And then, from then, how did that change your perspective? Like, how did that just change you? And then,
What is healing to me?
Yeah, like, so what were you letting go of? Like, how
I
did that
think
change
it's
you?
kind of difficult for me to say right now because I think I'm like in this new, like, I'm going through like this huge transformation that I'm like currently healing from physically and mentally. I'm like overcoming it, but I'm still like in it. So I'm learning a new meaning to that. So that's why I feel like I can't quite answer.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
it
because people
is.
say, so then for me, because I know, I'll say from my perspective, which is, when I met you, there was a difference, like, compared to so many people that I've met, just people in general, not just women. Like, it was, like, your ability to just be yourself and just be centered and just be feminine, but also assertive and you were able to hold space. Like, that was so important, and that those were feminine qualities that I was looking for. And so when you're talking about healing, I'm not you, but what I would take in mind is, I think you went through I think within a year, was it, you started seeing Erica, like, consistently? Like, it was just a year. So you were just doing it for a year, and you were going through all these changes, and then you met me. right? Kind of. So I was kind of in the middle of you still going through these changes.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
when I met you, that was when I had like already like a good flow with that, like those habits that I had like practiced.
So your habits, just so people can know, like, you created these habits, and these habits came from this new you that you were becoming.
That
So
was
you
developing.
so you got into healing, you got into spirituality.
And that just allowed me to like be more aware of who I am. Like just learn new things about myself, like attract what I was, like attract the same kind of like-minded people as me. And there was just a lot of new things that I was doing, like that like my family and close ones just never did. And it was just all new to me, but I was just going with the flow of things. Like if something felt right to me, or if something called me or grabbed my attention, I would like try it out, and yeah, I would just roll with it and see where it would take me. And that's how I got into dancing, because I just took this class, kind of told me about, and yeah, I took like bachata classes for a month, and then Kana was my dance director, and then she started her ladies bachata team, and she's like, yeah, like you should do it. And I was like, yeah, like why not? And I tried it, and like I fell in love with it. And yeah, like it just allowed me to attract so many things that were for me, whether I knew it or not. Like it was just a matter of me trying it and then realizing like
And I think that's the thing about, that's like a very, so when I think about it, and this is going to be a little more like analytical, but I know you can roll with it, where that just sounds very like feminine, like a very feminine approach to spirituality. Like I'm just going with the flow. Cuz guys, at least for me, I'm very mental, I'm very like systematic. I'm just thinking, okay, like goals, this is my goal, I want to do this, I want to achieve, I want to do that. And so my spirituality was so that I could accomplish those things, like it was there so it can enhance me, and so I can go and do those things. But for you, it seemed like your spirituality was more about you letting go and just going with the flow, and just following what you liked, following your heart, which is something that I later started doing.
later,
Like before I met
yesterday?
you. No,
Yeah.
like before I met you, kind of thing. I feel like,
Really? Just going with the flow?
yeah, because like, so after my break is when I just like said, okay, I'm just gonna
But
do
you
what I want to do. Go.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. But
But
you
my
were still
main,
very like
oh yeah, I'm just, that's my personality. I feel like I think I approach spirituality where in a very like philosophical, thinking, analytical way, and your approach is more like feeling and flowing, which is, to me, I think that's dope, because then I think there was even a moment where I remember one of the first times we met. I just kept thinking, okay, I need to. There's an image in my head, and I need to talk to her about it, and I want to see if she sees it, because I think it was the first weekend, or like the first time you went to Arizona, and then, um, and then
when we were by the coffee shop.
yeah, and I was just saying, okay, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm thinking, and then you were seeing the vision too, and I was like calling forth like our future, like what I saw myself doing and what I wanted to do.
I still remember that like
Yeah, very vividly.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's almost like it's actualizing itself right now. But like you were getting like your own message, and you were getting your own thing, but I was coming at it from this one approach, and then you just tuned in, and then you like got it, and I think
It like connected.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the that's the dynamic that we have, which is I think is really dope, and that's what, and maybe that's why you find it hard to explain what's going on, because you're just doing it. You know, it's almost like easy for you, versus for me, it's not very easy for me to do that because I have to think about it. Like I have to constantly think about it, and then at one point it just hits me. I'm like, okay, there it clicked.
Yeah, but I think it ties into like your personality.
Yeah.
You just like to like study and like get your like just learn about all these like new concepts and stuff. Whereas me, I'm just like you mentioned, just like very go with the flow. And I just see him from my end, and I would like to go and dive deep like the way you do. Like sometimes like you inspire me to like get my face in some books and just see what I learn. But it's like it's not my thing. Yeah, it's not my thing. I feel like even recently like I haven't been like in tune with it. I feel like I'm just now starting to slowly pick up my own habits that I left behind just with all like the transformations I've been going through. But yeah, it's just I'm more so like I go with what I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another thing about relationships that I think, which is really really cool about our relationship, is that I would think that would be a problem. You know, I would think, okay, I need the like I would need, like I would think before I met you that the only way it would work out is if my partner would also be able to think philosophically, or be a psychologist, or be very very systematic about the way they approach their life. And I thought that was the only way it was going to work out, because I had met just other people where our relationships were just worked out better that way. But then that's the crazy thing, where I think this relationship is more mature, and hopefully for the people out there that are listening, where this is kind of like a relationship that for me I see is very polarizing, where you're feminine and you're very go with the flow, and like I'm masculine and I'm very like strategic, and somehow some way it works out together, um because I'm able to kind of, like, there's benefits, right? There's benefits, and then there's also detriments. There's like pros and cons. So I can like create a plan and have a vision, and really just be very systematic or very thoughtful about things. But then there's times when that just becomes too much, and then that's when like you step in and like slow down. You know, just be here, be with us, be with me, and
that's happened several times.
yeah, so many times.
Like yeah.
Yeah, and
That's one of like the conflicts that we would encounter like repeatedly.
yeah, because and I think it's fine though, because those conflicts weren't conflicts in the sense that they were unproductive. Because I knew before I met you, I knew that I had to develop that. I saw the benefit from it, because before I met you, I kind of went into my own, like, go with the flow, just do what you want to do. Don't. It was a little more extreme, I guess, because I literally would do what I wanted to do. Like, if I wanted to go to work, I could just do Uber. I wasn't paying rent. My sister was helping me out, so I was just very, if I wanted to dance every day, I would dance every day. You know that. So I was just very super go with the flow, and I experienced like the beauty of that approach. But then meeting you, and then you kind of inhabit that space in my life where I don't have to do it myself. I don't have to go with the flow all the time, because you're bringing that energy into the relationship. But you doing that constantly reminds me that when you're not with me, that's also an option. So that's really, that's one of the things that I love. So and going back to the point I was trying to make earlier, which was, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to have a partner that's like you. And that's, I think, the idea that a lot of, I guess, in my experience, a lot of spiritual people have, which is, oh, I want a spiritual partner that can meet me, at my level, or sees the world the way I do,
But
or
also
whatever.
that kind of like if you think that way, like being spiritual can mean so
Yeah.
many different things. Like
Yeah.
when he once asked me, like, when we met each other, like, are you spiritual? And I was like, what do you even mean? Because I didn't know how to answer to that, because I didn't know what it meant for
To you,
him.
yeah.
In my eyes, as we've explained, like, it's very different than like what it is to you. But at the same time, it's not so different, because we come to the same thing of just like being self-aware, or like just being connected to your own self, and like being, to me, it's like just becoming the truest, most authentic version of myself that I can possibly be, for myself and for those around me. I think that's what it really means to me.
Mm-hmm.
But, and to you, what do you mean?
Yeah, to me, it's the same thing, but to me, I can go on hours of saying like what it means, but it's basically the same thing. I just want to be able to serve the world at the highest level, and bring my soul into this world, like me become my soul, or me become my higher self, as a lot of people say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that spirituality is that, like, I'm a student, or I'm a disciple, and life is,
That's like always undergoing all
yeah,
these transformations,
yeah,
throughout life, as you
mm-hmm,
evolve. And
yeah,
yeah.
and you understand that, and that's what I mean. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, I would just say that because I just want to see people's reactions, because you can immediately see where they're at. Because if you see a person, I don't know, I just been around. I'm a very observant person. So when I would talk to people and be like, "Are you spiritual?" They either give me a hard yes, or a hard no. And sometimes when it's a hard yes, it's really not really in alignment with what I think, or the way I see things or feel. So it's when it's in between where, okay, where you like, what are you trying to
You're just
say?
trying to
Like,
feel where they're at.
so it was kind of like a way, like, I kind of do that, and um yeah, like, that's kind of the reason why I did it.
Mm.
But I knew the fact that if you meditate, to me, if you meditate, you're already at a higher level of discipline. It's just discipline. Like, it's just, you're committed to the process.
Yeah.
Even if you do it like once a week, with the conscious thing that, okay, I want to have some time for me to get to know myself. And what's one of the best ways to do that? You meditate, because that's when you tune everything out.
Yeah.
You know?
And I do want to say, like, the way I got onto this like path for myself, it was very much so. It started with um just going to the gym.
Yeah,
And
which
that,
is crazy,
yeah,
right?
and like once I started like intentionally giving myself that time and that energy to better myself, that's when it just like started this like snowball effect. Is
Mm-hmm.
it snowball?
Yeah, snowball, yeah.
Yeah, where it just like grew into like this endless thing where I just kept like learning and developing new things within myself,
Mm-hmm.
which led to me finding Erica, which led to me meeting Kenna, and all those, like, those people that I mentioned. They're women, and they're all like in tune in some way with themselves,
Mm-hmm.
that like they've been a physical guide for me in this world to like achieve a higher self of
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what I am trying to do. I don't know exactly what that means. I know, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why we're here. And I think this is also another one of those things where it's, oh, we should do it.
Because why not?
Why not? Yeah. Because I was, yeah, like,
I mean, we have
I was
like,
so,
we're
yeah.
doing it with like the intention just to share, and
Yeah.
like, what we stated in the first one.
Yeah.
But like, it's also like, let's just see where this goes.
Mm-hmm. Because it's been an idea for a while.
Yeah.
And And that's the thing, which is the reason. Like another thing is, I know that I'm different now because like a year or two ago, me thinking about this, I'd have to think about, okay, but where is it gonna go? How is it gonna look? Blah 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 blah. And that's like the masculine, like, plan everything out kind of thing, and then I'd never get started with it. And
But it's not even just masculine. Well,
I
I
think,
don't know. Well, I don't
yeah,
know masculine, but because I feel like everyone does
everyone
that.
does it, yeah.
Everyone does that. So but also everyone carries the masculine and
Yeah,
feminine
within
energy
them.
within themselves. So I
Yeah.
guess.
I would just explain it for whoever doesn't, so people can understand where I'm coming from. So like the masculine. So I learned this at the very beginning of my journey, almost. There's the masculine and the feminine, and then if you're interested in learning more about this, check out David Data's book, The Way of the Superior Man. I don't agree completely with what he says, but just the basic essence is we all have a masculine, we all have a feminine. When it comes to a relationship, to have a good connection, you have to be able to embody either the feminine or the masculine, or you both have to be in agreement that you're going to be doing 50-50, and it's going to be a conscious thing, because a lot of people want to get in a relationship, and for example, I've met a lot of masculine women who I'm masculine and I can't have a relationship with them because I can't like talk to them. It's just very hard. It's like two butting heads all the time. And then also, if I'm gonna be a man, then I have to be a masculine man because that's the way I feel like I operate best. There's other men that might operate best through their feminine, but the way that I found I operate best is through my masculine. And so the masculine and feminine have certain qualities. The masculine is direct, and then you can also think about this. There's a lot of symbolism in this, but like the symbol of the masculine is an arrow. If you see it, they put it on the bathrooms, right? It's like an arrow. So it's about direction. It's about purpose. It's about structure, containment, boundaries. Versus the feminine is boundless. It's like the ocean, fluid, flowing, intuitive, feeling, and so you kind of get this understanding where when you think about a woman, and then there's like different, there's like a lot of really, I read a lot of relationship books, so there's from multiple perspectives, but think about women, people will often think, oh, she, like, they would label them as emotional, basically, like women are too emotional and then men are too like not emotional, right? Or not intuitive or not like sensitive. So that's basically kind of like a very primitive or immature perspectives on the masculine and feminine. And even within that, there's levels to it. So there's the essence which is at the core of every being, but there's also, but you have to work towards that. So for you to unlock like the highest version of your masculinity, it's gonna mean you being able to embody a higher version of yourself also. So instead of you being one example would be, instead of you being, I don't know, like just going out and spending all your energy on promiscuity, being promiscuous, going with lots of women. Instead of doing that, you can channel that energy and create a business, for example. That's like, there's like different levels. And also for women, you can be emotional, but you can also be like emotionally unstable, which is immature. But as you develop, you learn to use your emotions, and they actually become a gift for you. So that's kind of a quickest way I could do it. Yeah. And then, yeah, because then.
This one's very.
Yeah.
What did you say?
What? Emotional?
Emotional?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still pretty emotional, but I think I have more control over it.
But I was gonna say one thing though, and this, yeah, and this is where you can actually tell a difference, and this is how you're gonna know. And then for the guy who's thinking and looking, okay, so how will this look like in real life, or in just life, like in real life, right? She would be emotional, but it's like contained emotion. Like there's,
but not contained where I'm not expressing myself.
You know how to express it. And there's people who and that also requires so much self-awareness. But I mean, even yes, we've had our tough times or whatever, but like throughout it, generally like 80% of the time, you're very like self-aware. Because I could say the same thing about me. I'm like I'm not perfect, but
Nobody
nobody is, yeah. But immature people usually have something that they feel, and then they just keep it within themselves, and then they just kind of are defensive.
I wouldn't say immature. I want to say more so just people who are not in tune with themselves. I don't know.
Not developed. It's emotional intelligence. It's emotional intelligence. So that's why I say immature, because
Okay.
yeah, or because I don't want. It's
yeah,
like
but I just don't want like.
what it can be triggering. Is it? You think it's triggering? I don't think it's triggering. Well, because there's like a fruit matures. Just because you're immature doesn't mean you can't mature. I don't know.
Okay.
That's the way I see it. I'm not saying in terms of like, oh my god, you're like a baby.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean it. Yeah. So immature people, and then I've been immature before too. I think that helps. Yes, I am immature at times. Yeah, I think we're always transitioning. We're always So I'm not saying that I'm better. It's like I understand. There's self-awareness here, and that's where I'm speaking from. But yes, they would kind of carry it, and then there would be a defensiveness that lingers throughout the days or weeks or even months or years. And so there's one thing that you just keep holding, and then you just never let it out. And this is,
and it just becomes like this whole thing.
Yeah. Versus for her, she feels a type of way, she's moved, she has like, I could see it like play out where it's almost like it overcomes you, like it's like it overcomes you, and but you know when to let it do that, and so you cry and you get emotional, but it's so controlled, and almost like free and expressive, that for me to see that, it's kind of like, oh, like I get to see that in a healthy way, because most often people associate crying with like trauma, or it like it gets to such a bad point that you start crying, versus with you, it doesn't have to get to that point. You just cry, and it never had to get to that point. Does that make sense?
No.
So people, for me, for example, when I used to cry, it would be because of so much anger that I just couldn't hold on to it.
Whereas when I cry, I'm releasing.
Yeah, I guess it's both it's a release, because that's what crying is.
Okay, yeah.
But when you do it, it's like you didn't hold on to it too long. You felt it and you let it be. Versus me, I would feel it and I would push it away. And so then it keeps, that pushing away builds, and so then it becomes like a whole like waterfall, versus when it's like just like a flowing, just like a river.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But it did take a lot for me to get there.
It took a lot for you to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that. Yeah, it's not easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's something that I'm saying, that for a person who's thinking, okay, how would a more like a mature woman express herself or carry herself? That's kind of how I see it in you, and like that's how like a guy thinking will know, or even within himself, like that's a good reflection for you as a man. Like what do you think about crying? Like that's good.
But also I feel like you can have that, and then let's say like if you get into a relationship, or if you're like sharing your emotions with others, sometimes it can be a little challenging, because you don't know how like the other person's going to react, or if they react a certain way that's not like I'm just going back to when I moved to Arizona, and like I would cry because I was just very like
overwhelmed.
Like I missed
my family. This was before I found out I was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like just randomly just cry out of the blue. And then like there was moments where you weren't like too happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like...
Because he was just like, why are you choosing to stay there? Why are you choosing to like be sad about it? You know, why don't you just move on? And like, it was just like when I would get those reactions from you, it would just like kind of like close me off to not want to show, like be super vulnerable at moments, you know?
Yeah.
Like I would just choose to cry on my own. But not until like I realized that I couldn't keep doing that. I had, if like he was gonna be my partner, I had to show him like some different way, that I had to like show him that it was okay for me to be that way, whether he thought it was or not. I was feeling that way, so I had to let him know that like he needed to create that space for me to like be able to show my true emotions, whether he thought they were okay or not, like around him. And then you started like opening and creating that safe space just because we started like communicating a lot more. And it was also like you were still kind of closed off and you didn't know how to express yourself.
Mm-hmm. A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I think where I'm going here is where like, I don't know, I think I kind of just took it into another route, but just like...
So what I'm taking is you're saying that sometimes it can seem like it's too much, or somebody might say that it is too much, but you have to be able to understand why, or understand that it matters, and that you shouldn't
like
invalidate how you feel. Yeah, I don't know, because I feel... What do you think about that situation? Because I was thinking about that. I just thought about that right now, and I don't even remember how we got through that. It was just... Was it time? I just felt like it was just time.
It was just time and being very vocal.
Yeah.
And just communicating.
Yeah, because I remember...
Because
I remember you were crying, though, and I'd be like, I don't know how to help you. Like, I don't know. Like, I'll give you space, or I'll be there. But for me, at one point, I was just like... Because I'm very like, oh, be positive, or you know, you came here for a reason, you know, we're working here, like, look at all these things. I think that's what I would do, you know, like, look at all these things we're working on.
And it was also that, like, maybe, like, reminding myself why I was there. I knew before making that huge jump, that it was going to be different. Like, it was going to be a whole new thing for me.
I don't know, the transition, maybe was it oh, I was gonna ask, do you feel like you were just tuned out of who you were? Yeah, and that's why you were crying so much.
And I had no safe space.
Yeah.
Like, you were the safest, but, like, you were my safe space. I mean, I was my own safe space, but I was very, like, yeah, I was just, like, very disconnected to who I was. Just because I was looking more outward for comfort more than inward.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to... Because I could feel when you were out, like, you were out of it, because you were speaking like somebody... You weren't speaking like the person I met. And I was just like... and I thought that was fine, because I met that person. And I knew that right now it was kind of like you're going back and just dealing with a lot of things. And so for me, I was just trying to remind you, hey, you don't have to be there. Find a way to not be there.
Yeah, he was there, very supportive. He was always there, but there were some moments where he was a little harsh with his
yeah, because I think at
words.
one point I was even like, you just have to do it. I'm not gonna be there all the time or something. Like,
yeah. But also my emotions were like times 10 because I was pregnant, but we didn't know I was pregnant.
Yeah. You think that was part of it? That you were emotional
think so.
because you were pregnant?
Because I would randomly start
Yeah,
crying.
you just random, and maybe you made that connection with, oh, it's because I left, instead of oh, I'm just pregnant. Because if you were just pregnant, it would just be, oh, I'm pregnant, versus oh, it's because I left, so I'm disconnected, I can't find anything. Versus I'm pregnant, okay, but I'm here. You know?
Yeah,
Does that make
because
sense?
when I was pregnant and I would become emotional, or very intense,
I kind of knew, and you knew.
I would know, and I was like, okay, this is not me, so let me tune it back down.
Yeah.
You know, like, let me get myself
That's wild.
together.
Damn, we gotta go into the pregnancy now. Later. Next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all in all, I think this started because we were just speaking about our relationship dynamic.
Yeah.
But the dynamic
that's
is
based
great.
on
Yeah.
our relationship, our experience, our knowledge combined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the message would be find a way. I think, of course, get to know yourself. You have to get to know yourself, because she wouldn't have been able to be vocal if she didn't know herself, and she knew, like, she needed that space, or she needed somebody like that, or she just, she was going through things. And then also, I wouldn't have been able to, just be me, like, make the decisions I made and express myself the way I expressed myself to her, unless I knew myself.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have that certainty of doing that. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, which is, oh, I don't want to tell this person this thing.
Because they're afraid of how the other person will react, or how they're, like, taken.
Yeah, because people get offended, and that's another thing which you have to accept in life. Do you want to talk to a person who doesn't take your feedback, or, like, do you want to be with a person who can't take what you're saying at face value? Because I know I could speak to you. Yes, my words were harsh, but then you would kind of be able to just understand what I was saying, and, like, kind of take the emotional aspect of it, because you understood where I was coming from. And it's the same thing with you.
And you just also have to, like, tell each other that if we don't appreciate how one is speaking to one another, we let each other know.
Yeah.
Because there's been moments where it's either me or you just communicating in ways that we would prefer not to.
Yeah. Like, being vocal. And so that's the thing. If she speaks to me a way that I don't like or I don't appreciate, I don't go like that and try to match her energy. I just say, hey, I don't appreciate that, or I withdraw. And then she kind of gets the message, I'm withdrawing. Oh, he's like, okay, it's probably me, I need to chill. Mm-hmm. All right, like, that's the way I've been dealing with it. And of course, we're learning still, but that's what's worked so far. Yeah. And so you have to understand who you are, and then who you're dealing with. And you have to understand that if you want a relationship that is, like, very fulfilling or deep, the person that you're with has to be able to listen to you. Because if they can't listen, they can't adapt, they can't change their behavior. They don't have to change themselves, but they can change their behavior to... Yeah, they can change their behavior. That's a simple thing. And we've changed our behavior for each other because because we care for each other. Yeah. Like, but at the core, our relationship has been, I'm connected to myself, you're connected to yourself, and we are the best people for each other to be with, because it just works.
Yeah, we're like, we've learned a lot. I've learned a lot with being with you. Mm-hmm. Like, about myself, about him, obviously.
Yeah.
And just about, like, a relationship and just life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
All right. We'll probably go into the pregnancy one next one. That'd be cool. Talk about your pregnancy.
And your perspective.
Sheesh.
Yeah. It's a huge one. Okay.
Yeah.
We're out.
All right. Peace.